Hello, my squidlings. It is Katie here, and welcome back to another demo and review video. I've actually had these markers for quite a while. Arteza kindly sent them to me, but I do want to let you know that I'm not being paid or sponsored, so any and all opinions are my own, just like as per usual. So they come in this plastic container in plastic trays. It's a lot of plastic, I'm not even gonna lie, but the nice thing is the trays especially can be repurposed. You can actually use those trays to scribble these markers off and pick them up with a paintbrush, so you can repurpose them. Plus they make for good storage, so you don't necessarily have to throw it away. I do like the trays, I just wish it wasn't so much plastic. But anyway, so I have the set of 48, and these are called the Twimarkers. They have two ends. They have a brush end on one side, and one thing I really like about these is they have color names on the barrel. I appreciate that so much. And on the other side, they actually have a fine tip. It's not even quite a bullet tip. It's just like a fine tip, and I actually really like it. So I am very glad about that. The brush tip seems to be made of some kind of nylon. I didn't see too much fraying. Actually, I don't think I saw any fraying at all during the time I used these. They don't have too much flexibility at first. You do really have to get them working, but after you do get them kind of broken in a little bit, they would be great for calligraphy. Now, the fine tip has a little bit of bend to it, but it's not a ton, so you're not going to be getting a ton of line variation with that, but it is nice for outlining stuff. These are also water soluble. I am using watercolor paper, but you can also use something smooth like Bristol, but I wouldn't use too many watercolor layers on Bristol. Another technique that I really like to talk about all the time with markers is the tip-to-tip technique. It's where you take two markers and you position one above the other and you get the ink to transfer, and then you can get a seamless blend between the two markers, and it's really handy, especially for when you need a blend and maybe you don't have a transition color or something. So it's one of my favorite techniques to use, especially with small amounts of markers. So now I'm going to be going on to swatching them. And while I do that, I'm just going to give you some information on them. So this does come in a 48 set and a 100 set. I think the 100 set is kind of new. The 48 set retails in the US for $28.81 on their website, and the 100 set is $45.83. I think the thing I noticed the most, and you'll notice this as you watch the swatches, there aren't many skin tones, there are a lot of vibrant tones, and there are hardly any muted or pastel tones. Now there are some pastel tones in here, but most of these colors are very vibrant, coming straight out of the marker. And that's not a problem for some, but eventually some people, want to paint with other tones other than super vibrant, so it's just something to keep in mind. The 100 set does fix that. They have a lot of other skin tone colors, and they've got more pastels and stuff. So if you're looking for a very well-rounded set, I would go for the bigger set, plus it's cheaper in the long run. As far as I know, you cannot buy these individually. You can, however, buy a set of 4 clear blender pins. So that is another thing to kind of think about. This one does not come with a clear blender. I don't know if the 100 set does or not, but this one does not. I think one thing that makes these really versatile is the fact that they can be used as watercolor, like you can kind of see me doing in the swatches here, or you can also use them as just a marker and blend them that way. If you are using them as a marker to blend them together, I would use a smooth paper and not watercolor paper, because the more layers of these markers you add on top of watercolor paper, it tends to pill the paper up, and that's not necessarily something you want. But I would use something smooth, like a smooth Bristol or something of that nature, if you're wanting just to use marker techniques. Now, you know me, your girl really loves to use her watercolor techniques. So, of course, I had to use watercolor paper, and that's what I'm doing here. So, now that we're in the art portion of the video, I'm just kind of very messily laying down some lines, because I want it to look like she's, lying down in a bed. And again, it's just super loose, and then I'm immediately going over it with a brush pen, a water brush pen, and it just kind of blends out, and as it dries, it fades out, and it's really nice. And again, as you can see, most of my base layers are me doing that, just laying down some marker and then really quickly going back to dissolve the marker out. Now, I do want to tell you that if you want to get really nice watercolor blends, be really quick. You have to be really, really fast because if the marker sets into the paper too much, it's not going to go anywhere. So that is another thing you'll want to be aware of. I think for me personally, I still really prefer their real brush pens to these. I don't know what it was about the real brush pens, but I just really enjoyed the way they worked. And that isn't to say these are of bad quality, because these are, I believe, a little bit cheaper, and they've got 2 marker tips, and I love that fine tip. But I don't know, I just really prefer their real brush pens to these, I guess. But these are a nice set either way. The brush isn't as flexible as I would like it to be per se. So if you're really looking to get those like brush blendy effects, I'd probably look elsewhere, just because, I don't know, this brush tip would be nice for something like calligraphy, which is very controlled, but I don't know, I don't feel like the brush tip is super great on these, so again, just something of my opinion to be aware of. But yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on these. They're really nice. They're not my favorite water brush pens or whatever, but I do really enjoy them, and they were a lot of fun to use. And this alien babe was so much fun to paint, or color, I guess. I don't really know. It's kind of a mix of both, I guess, but she was really cute. And if you're interested in getting her as, I'm not sure if I'm going to give her as a sticker or a print this month, but either way, if you're interested in getting her in some form, I will have her available over on Patreon for the month of August, because my theme this month is alien babes, and I've been having a lot of fun with this theme, so I hope you can tell that. But anyway, yeah, I really want to thank you guys for watching this review. I feel like I'm really rusty in the review department. I haven't done them in forever, and like I said, I've had this set for absolutely forever, so been kind of meaning to review them for a while. But anyway, we're going to be looking at the final piece in just a second. I want to thank you all so much for watching. I hope you found this review informative and useful. If you are not already and you want to be a part of our Squid Pod, there is a subscribe button down below. There is also social media links of mine in the description as well. And I also want to give a huge special thank you to all of my patrons for the month of August. You guys are what keep me doing what I love doing the most. If you're interested in being a patron, there will be a card on the screen. And yeah, until next time, my adorable squidlings, toodaloo!